Hi there, my name is Kay Moon, and I am a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the Capricorn full moon, lunar eclipse, and Mercury retrograde. There's a lot going on. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. This particular full moon that's happening alongside a lunar eclipse is on July 16th, 2019 at 5:38 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And this particular eclipse it's very fascinating. This full moon is very fascinating. Anytime we have a full moon, and that's an ending, it's a culmination, it's a completion, it's a surfacing of that which is ready and ripe for the harvest. Anytime we have an eclipse, that's a lunar eclipse, that's also an ending. It's the closing out of a cycle. It's the drawing to completion a particular cycle that is now done. With this particular full moon also being a lunar eclipse full moon, we've got this energy of a double ending here. But this isn't necessarily ending in a bad way, especially given all of this beneficial energy in Cancer. We've got Venus, we've got North Node, we've got Sun, all sitting together here in the sign of Cancer, which is all about self-nurturing and being drawn in the direction that's going to help us take care of our home, our family, our dreams, etc. This really is the energy of closing out cycles that are preventing us from becoming who we're meant to be. There is a bit, if you've been feeling like life is up in the air, like one day things are one way, the next day things are a completely different way, or if you've been noticing endings and beginnings, births and deaths, ending school, beginning work, starting a new job, moving to a new home, closing out cycles in your old home. This is why the universe is literally playing chess with the foundational pieces of your life and giving you the opportunity to start over in a place that puts you on track to where you're meant to be going and who you're meant to be becoming, who we're all meant to be becoming. This particular sense of up in the airness is heightened by all of this cardinal energy here. We've got 9 placements in cardinal signs. This is also a very high fire chart. This is all about initiation and beginnings, starting things over, starting things afresh, hitting the reset button, and life kind of doing this for you more so than you doing this yourself. So go along for the ride. If things are leaving, let them go. If things are coming, prepare a place for the table for them. But there's also an interesting energy here with significant retrograde planetary energy in the chart. I won't count the asteroids, but just counting the planets alone, we've got Mercury retrograde going from Leo to Cancer. We've got Chiron retrograde here in Aries. That's an asteroid, but we give it a lot of credence in astrology at the planetary level. We've got Neptune retrograde here in Pisces. Then we've got Pluto retrograde, we've got Saturn, we've got Jupiter retrograde. That's a lot. With this much retrograde energy, all I can say is what it is now isn't the way that it's going to be. Just allow yourself to roll with how things are playing out. Do your internal work to find out how what's inside is being projected outside. And then as these planets start to move forward in direct motion, you will come to understand what the universe was trying to do for you all along. So let's get into some of the energies here more directly. We've got Saturn here in Capricorn and conjunct the South Node. And we've got Venus in conjunction here with the North Node. You know, this is an interesting energy because with Saturn opposite the North Node, and Venus opposite the South Node, there's just this energy of figuring out what it takes to truly have what we want, to truly become who we're meant to become. And there's a strong magnetism energy, that's Venus, drawing us in that direction. And a lot of energy from Saturn going, go this way, not that. Here are the boundaries and the ground rules. Add the structure, focus on the steps. This figuring out what it takes, rolling up our sleeves and doing the work is really asking us to have a lot of patience when it comes to our goals and to take responsibility for our growth and focus on preparing for the upcoming love, the upcoming abundance, the upcoming connection, the upcoming family, the upcoming community. It's asking us to prepare the ground now by continuing to clean house and clear the decks. This is really, on this Capricorn Cancer axis, a great time for making amends, restoring balance where you've created imbalance in your connections and within yourself, both making amends with yourself and making amends with others. This isn't necessarily the time when they will perchance accept your apology, but this is the right time for you to own up to the mess on your side of the street, or our side of the street, as I should say. This is the right time for all of us to look at, okay, where have I not been in alignment with what it is I say I want and who it is I know I'm becoming? And what do I need to close out in order for me to get to the place I know is right for me? That's what this energy is looking like on this particular eclipse. And with this Mercury preparing to move retrograde back toward Cancer to illuminate and bring inner insight to that North Node and Venus conjunction, huge opportunity to become aware and enlightened about where it is we've been getting in our own way, both emotionally and physically, because we've got water sign Cancer, emotions, and we've got South Node, Capricorn, Earth, physical world. So let's see what else I have in my notes here. This will also provide some illumination about the final stages of the Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle. That eclipse cycle really kind of closed out last year. And at the start of this year, we've seen Mercury here in Leo, Mercury being conscious mind and communication. That Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle brought everyone up to speed on their own divinity, on their own sovereignty. It illuminated and brought to consciousness where it is that we need to take greater responsibility and own our power in our own lives. That being said, there's always breadcrumbs as we close out an eclipse cycle, things that are, left to clear out, left to clean up, final lessons, periods to put on sentences. This Mercury retrograde in Leo is giving us the opportunity to shout to the universe, I got your memo. I got the message. I know what I have to do. I'm ready to move on to the next lesson. And the way we do that is in the places where we take initiative, cardinal sign, fire, and in the places where we close out cycles with this lunar eclipse and this full moon, by laying to rest behavioral patterns that we know are no longer working. So the writing on the wall would have been there for some time about what you need to close out, what you need to stop doing, the person you need to stop behaving like or mirroring, perhaps from childhood. And this is really the time to just own that for ourselves and to release it. Now, let's see, what else do we have? Yes. All right. So we've got Pallas. Here's Pallas here, Pallas Athena in Libra, sitting between the shaman's asteroid and the creation goddess. We've got Pallas here at 17 degrees Libra, squaring all of that energy here with the nodes and the Saturn Venus opposition. The challenge that we're all faced with as we move into this cycle of closure and completions, wrapping up who we were so that we can become who we'd like to be, is that there are still aspects of our life relationally that, in order for us to let go of, there is some tension we're going to have to face and work through. There's some tension between what we want to protect and what there is to do to create our dreams. What Pallas is actually doing, because Pallas is really a protector here, what Pallas is actually doing out here in the sign of partnerships, Libra, is she's saying, I'm going to need you to find a new way forward. A new way forward as it has to do with time, money, and structure. That's that Saturn energy here with the South Node. And your approach to who you're becoming, what you're drawn to, what you're attracted to, what you feel gives you life. That's that North Node energy with Venus up here. Pallas is really saying, before you just drop everything and join the circus, what I'm going to need you to do is take a good hard look at where and how you can do this in a way that doesn't completely throw all of the relationships and partnerships that matter to you completely out the window, baby with the bathwater style. So keep in mind this, again, great time to make amends, own your stuff, clarify what you meant, but also draw new boundaries so that you can start to make room for your becoming. We've also here, we've got a little bit of moon square Eris. So here's our moon here at 24 degrees Capricorn. Here's Eris here at 24 degrees Aries. Anytime you have a square, and there's plenty of it in this chart, plenty of tense, oppositional, square kind of energy, creating a lot of tension for us around, do I go this way or that way? A little bit of push-pull and a recognition that we can't just do one. We have to figure out how to balance it all out or do both. With Moon square Eris, and also this Pluto and Chariklo here, square Eris, Eris on its own, she's really all about, she's spite. She's the recognition that she needs to stand in her power, but without necessarily the eloquence or the elegance to do so diplomatically. She's the unwillingness to be ignored. And with Pluto and Chariklo and Moon all having a conversation of a 90-degree angle with Eris, Pluto being alchemy, life, death, and rebirth cycles, Chariklo here being the divine intercessor, ask and you shall receive, and Moon being about needs, there's this energy under the light of this full moon and this eclipse of that which has died, Pluto, and that which we know we want more of in our lives, Chariklo, or that which whom we can ask in order to have that thing back in our lives. So one thing that I want to say about this energy in particular is, there's a little bit of like stomping feet, crossing arms, tantrum style around the things we've lost. The price has been high over the last several years. For many, as we walk into the divine preparation for 2020. That being said, we are at a moment in time that is screaming, ask and ye shall receive, with Chariklo sitting so close to this full moon and this eclipse. If you're not a praying person, but you're an affirmation person, affirm. If you're a praying person, pray. If you are a visualizing person, visualize. If you're a writing person, write. But speak to the divine. within you and with outside of you, in whatever way works for you, to call up the future that you know you are claiming for yourself. Now is the time to do that. In the wake of that which is dead, while you're sitting at the grave mourning your loss, use some of that emotional energy to call out and say, hey, this is what I now claim for myself and in my life going forward from here. That's what this characlo really brings to the table. It's an incredibly powerful symbol of someone or you or I reaching out to the gods and saying, hey, I lost something here and I need it back. And the divine saying, I have heard you and I will give you something better than what you had before. So definitely leverage that energy. There's definitely great opportunity here to call forward when you ask. And also acknowledge that you can't go back. That's also a big piece of this with Pluto here. Once something's gone to the other side and the alchemy is complete, the transformation is complete, you can't necessarily resurrect it. But know that Chariklo will provide, the divine will provide something that is much better. Okay, now we've also got this energy of Neptune trine the North Node and Venus conjunction. So here's Neptune trining that North Node Venus. And a trine is just, it's easy energy, it's flow, it's harmony, it's where there's energies working together. Anytime you see Venus and Neptune flowing in harmony, dreamy, spiritual, yummy, loving, cozy, delicious, emotional vibes here. Despite all of the challenges that we've had going on here, and all of the difficult, tense energy in this chart, there's still a little bit of, there's some romance here in the pain. There's a little bit of, glamour in all of the way that all of the way that the ashes from the fire are starting to simmer down. So take this opportunity to get in touch spiritually again with whatever speaks to you, but also with your loved ones. Take the opportunity to express that love, express that spirit, the depth of that spiritual connection that you have with them. There's going to be some understanding here, deep spiritual understanding of our goals and what our goals are doing for the larger collective, or a subconscious awareness of it, even if it's not a greater spiritual understanding consciously. There will be some level of subconscious understanding, everything in right order, all is well, divine timing's at play, I can trust the process. And, as long as you're leaning in that direction, you can relax. The one thing that you may find could be a challenge here is just a little bit of self-deception around love and relationships, a little bit of, over-optimism, thinking things are better than what they are. Try as best as you can to just keep your eyes open to the truth of what's so, and allow your emotions to tell you as well what you can trust and what you can't. There's going to be a little bit of illumination here from last year at this time, especially during this Mercury retrograde, in particular once Mercury hits Cancer and joins Venus and the North Node in Cancer, trining this Neptune out here. There will be some illumination about what this point at last year looked like. 1 year ago to the month, we had some grand water trine energy going on that lent itself to a lot of emotional flooding for some people, especially if you're a water sign or an earth sign. Emotional flooding, emotional overwhelm, it almost like you felt like you were taking on energy from other people, those of you who are intuits or highly sensitive, where you were somehow drowning in the emotions of the collective. As this Mercury retrograde approaches, you're not going to revisit that emotionally, but you'll get insight about that intellectually, with the conscious mind moving backward to that point here in the chart. A special note for those of you who are empaths, intuits, psychics, clairvoyants, etc. That energy from the grand water trines last year, where Jupiter and Neptune were trine, sometimes Mercury got into the action, Venus got into the action, but that Jupiter and Neptune setting it up, from Scorpio to Pisces, essentially every time you got emotionally overwhelmed and you felt like you were drowning in 2018, essentially what was going on and what's been revealed to me is that you downloaded like an energetic zip file for your particular gift set. That this year, during each Mercury retrograde, you're going to begin to unpack that gift set. And you'll start to see new abilities, new gifts come online, provided you're, taking care of your body and your instrument the way you need to. Some people, I've noticed that there are some people who are empaths who are now stepping into mediumship. There are those who have been mediums who are now stepping into clairvoyance. There are clairvoyants who are now opening up the gift of clairaudience. So know that each Mercury retrograde is going to unzip some of that file, and as you're doing your work, you will begin to find that you've got new gifts online and available to you, and they'll just start to come through as you're doing your work. You won't even need to look for them. You'll just be in session with your clients, and those gifts will start to come out. So don't be too afraid. I've had some of that stuff come out in my sessions, and it's like, I did not ask for that, but thank you, I think. Don't be too alarmed. It's all part of the divine plan, where you downloaded the information last year. It's now coming online, and everything you got last year is going to become consciously understandable and usable. We've got Jupiter retrograde out here at 15 degrees Sagittarius. And that's moving April 10th through August 11th. It's going to go all the way back to the 14th degree of Sagittarius before it goes back to the 24th degree. If you in your natal chart have in fire signs anywhere from 14 to 24 degrees Leo or Aries, significant planetary placements, or Sagittarius, this particular Jupiter retrograde is going to feel very significant for you. We're almost to that final spot where Jupiter is going to back all the way up to the last point it's going to go before it goes direct again in August. This is almost like are we there yet? Have we learned it yet? Like, how much further do we have to go? How much more from within me do I need to source, my own light? So this is really a big clarification of how we have to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. And depending upon where in your chart Jupiter is placed, or what other planets in your chart Jupiter is speaking to, that's going to indicate precisely how this Jupiter retrograde is playing out for you and what you're supposed to be learning. And again, it's best to learn it before the retrograde's over. That way the retrograde can actually be much kinder, gentler, and smoother for you. If you want to know where this is at in your chart, hit me up, Krysalismoon@gmail.com. The email's in the description box below, but it's KRYSALIS moon, MOON, @gmail.com. And we'll have a look at the lesson you're meant to be learning with this Jupiter retrograde, Saturn retrograde, Mercury retrograde, etc. I have about 8 one-hour appointments left for the month of July before I have to start booking in August. Those are going to go pretty quickly. So if you know that you want to spend some time figuring out what this eclipse has meant for you, this eclipse season, what you're supposed to be learning, and really getting your life aligned for where you're meant to be going, definitely shoot me an email. We'll work through the aspects together and talk through how this is all playing out in your chart. Once you email me, you'll receive an autoresponder that shows the booking information. But know that I'll also read your email personally and respond to you directly and individually about your inquiry, especially if you send me any information. I'll take a look at that and answer your questions. So with Venus conjunct the North Node, there really is this kind of massive desire to get on with it. Despite all this retrograde energy, Venus's beneficial energy, attraction, and magnetic and loving energy out here with the North Node is really pulling us all to like get it on, like get up, get out, get into it, get it on, like keep moving, make this happen, work your process, work your steps, because it's time for us to be moving in the direction of our dreams. Okay, we talked about Pluto and Chariklo. Okay. And let's see. The last thing I kind of wanted to mention here as part of this cycle is we've got this Juno out here in Leo. Juno in Leo conjunct Mars, but this energy squaring Vesta out here in Taurus. That's really interesting to me because this Juno and Mars and Mercury here in Leo are all speaking to that Aquarius Leo eclipse cycle that wrapped up and that is over and done with, because we're now in the Capricorn Cancer eclipse cycle. But with this particular energy here, it's putting that final period on the sentence of everything we learned from the last 2 years of that Aquarius Leo cycle, which forced us to step into our own divinity. It made it so that there was nothing else left to do but stand on our own, in our own power. And this is with Juno there and Mars there in Leo. It's really asking us to take a look at, what did we learn from the people we interacted with? What were the lessons from the relationships that we had over the last 2 years? And where have we lost sight of what truly mattered? And what needs to be brought back into focus now to truly nurture ourselves, bring ourselves back home to our own divinity, be a true partner to ourselves first before partnering with anyone else? And how do we foster our own growth? There's this energy here of sovereignty and partnerships. I may be working with you, but I don't work for you. You don't own me. And there's that added drive to get it right this time in any place that we've made a commitment, particularly in the areas of work and work relationships. If you've noticed that at some point this year, either before now or you can see it on the horizon coming, that you are being invited to start your own business, and I use the word invited euphemistically. You may be, your role may be getting outsourced or downsized, or you may be laid off, or, they may be telling you, look, we're not providing benefits anymore. You need to go ahead and be prepared to be a subcontractor. That's all par for the course, and you're not alone in that. That's something, the Uberization of the American economy, specifically speaking to my American viewers here, this is something that's been ongoing. And for those, I would venture to say in Canada and Australia as well, you'll probably start to see a lot of this as well, where, you're being asked to subcontract in roles that previously were full-time employment roles. This Juno, Mars, and Mercury here in Leo is the beneficial time to get on with setting that up so that you get the best deal, the best contracts, the best opportunities to position yourself with the right money. And the right structure for that works for you as a sovereign in your own kingdom. So I just want to go ahead and encourage those of you who've gotten that call to go ahead and heed it. Now really is the time. While so much is up in the air, the energy for you to get everything you need out of this is happening right now. If you want to have a look again at where all of this is happening in your chart and what you're being asked to do and let go of and complete, shoot me an email at krysalismoon@gmail.com, KRYSALIS moon, MOON, @gmail.com. You'll get the autoresponder with booking details. I've only got 8 slots left for the month of July before I have to start booking in August, and I'd love for you to have one of them if you're called to it. So very much looking forward to working with you. Thank you for watching and listening, subscribing and sharing. Leave me a comment. Let me know how this energy is playing out for you. Take care.